This is BMI Redefined with Jen and Mo.
All right.
Welcome back, everybody, to BMI Redefined with
Jen
and Mo. Yay! So, today, Jen, we are going to be talking about mental health, a new understanding.
I need a new understanding.
Yeah, I know, me too, right? You know what really got me excited about this whole magazine thing, though?
What?
When you said, hey, I got picked up the new edition of mental health. Of course, immediately who came into my mind was Prince William and Prince Harry.
Oh.
Because they talk about the stigma of mental health in Great Britain.
Yeah, and there is definitely a stigma here in the U.S.
Right. Yeah. And even though we're the new world and whatever, it's in their old world, right?
Right.
But we all deal with it. And there really is, a stigma that really discourages people from getting treatment in the U.S. I mean, you think of someone who's, it's like a dirty word, mental illness.
Well, and Jeffrey Kluger, in this particular time issue, talks about understanding our own minds. And really, it's kind of like that song that we were talking about earlier about there being a fine line.
There's a fine, fine line between reality and pretend.
Yes.
Yeah.
Well, that's really what Jeffrey's kind of talking about here. He said there's, really a fine line between, your imagination and hallucination. Like, are you really? He says life as we live it is really just an inch from madness, and we might not know it. If we have a broken leg, we know it. If we have the measles, we know it.
Right.
But if there's something going on in our mind, the drift from the rational mind into the irrational, the lucid into the delusional, is not always easy to see as it's happening, according to Jeffrey here. And that is the absolute gospel.
It really is the absolute gospel. That is so true. It's so true. I mean, you think about, if you're sitting in a car, right? And you're like, if I make a decision and choose to do this, like if you're crossing a bridge, I could right now, not me, I'm saying, but I'm just saying, if you're in the car, I could right now take this car and just go right into the water. Yeah. Do you know what I'm saying?
Yeah. It's
a split second
It's a
decision.
split second decision. Yeah.
Between madness and not madness.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Yeah, sanity and insanity.
Yeah, right. Thank you. Yeah.
Well, he goes on to say, when does joy become mania, or sadness become depression, or apprehension become anxiety? So much we've talked about. Fear about spiders become phobia about spiders. Well, I didn't say spiders, but anyway,
I know,
bringing myself into this.
Right.
It says we value imagination, but not hallucinating.
Yeah.
And so you think about like the Disney movies and the pink elephants and all that stuff going
Fantasia,
on.
right?
Yeah.
Fantasia. They said that's a big psychedelic trip.
Dumbo, the movie, it had the psychedelic drugs in it.
No, I never heard of that. Dumbo?
Yeah.
Oh, I have to go back and see that.
So, I mean, there's just so many instances of this kind of thought.
Right.
Within media and all that, but Mo, it's not just media. This is real life.
No, this is real life. It is real life.
And Time has taken it upon themselves to share research in the area of the mind and mental health and this new understanding, and we're trying to add to that discussion.
Exactly. Right. Yep. And I mean, this is just right in here, the Journal of American, Medical Association, that says that, drugs and alcohol, of course, are a big part of this discussion today because it does bring you into another state.
Right.
And it says that nearly 21 million Americans with drug or alcohol disorders, only 1 in 10 seeks help.
Wow.
And, and the thing is, the goal of this whole thing should be to educate people, right, on mental illness. And, to educate that they are brain disorders. And they are real biological diseases.
Oh yeah, there's physiological evidence or biological evidence that people do have mental health challenges, if you will. There's a whole chapter on here on kind of finding the right words, the right descriptors and all that, and adjectives and what have you. And there's truly a physiological aspect of this, because we even talked about the genetic basis.
Right.
Okay, so we want to go ahead and move into that?
Yeah, let's talk about that.
So there's some genetic research that's going on about how to treat mental illnesses and try to improve mental health and understand the mind to a greater degree. It has to do with gene sight, and it's actually a genetic testing mechanism where you find out what the actual receptors are, like the genetic receptors, RNA receptors within your cells, and how they receive something, for example, serotonin. Okay, so
Which we've talked about.
Yeah. And serotonin can help
It's
fight
your feel-good.
depression. It's your
Right.
feel-good. Yeah, your feel-good. And so what if you go to a therapist or a psychiatrist who says, well, we're going to treat depressive symptoms with a serotonin-based drug therapy? And you
Like
have no
Prozac or something like that, right?
And you have no receptors, it's not going to do anything. And so that's where I've heard stories of this, real life stories, where then you move on, you get the gene site or get some type of genetic testing where they identify what your genetic markers are and what your receptors are and what enzymes are actually physiologically in your system that can help break down the chemicals in antidepressants and find the right mix of medications to help you alleviate, or at least mitigate, hopefully alleviate depression in your life. It is fantastic research, as you can tell. I'm excited about this because I know people that deal with depression and all that, and the fact that there is some physiological research inroads going on is just I'm just glad to hear it.
Oh, that's great.
Yeah.
So, do you know what the name of that genetic test is, or where we could find more about it? Because in case anyone's interested in that, I might be interested in that. That's kind of cool, actually. Go ahead.
Yeah, it's fascinating, as I've said. It is called Gene Sight by Myriad Genetics, and it looks at 12 genes involved in how people process 56 different antidepressant drugs.
Wow.
So, yeah, there's a lot of research. There's even some more larger scale studies that are about to occur kind of as we speak. And so they're making a lot of progress.
That's really cool.
Yeah, so it's going to be interesting when we have our psychologist expert come in to talk more along this line as well.
Okay, cool. So you remember that fine line we were talking about?
Yes.
Okay. So when you talk about loneliness and obesity, I know it's kind of a weird thing to compare, but they're not that different, because they both have an impact, or can have an impact, on a person's early death. Isn't that nice to think about? Yeah, great, huh?
Yeah,
I know.
That's the fact.
I know, right? Well, so there are a couple things I want to talk about loneliness. Is that, so my friends, do you ever see the Golden Girls?
Yes.
Okay. Yes, I sure did when I was growing up. Anyway, so the Golden Girls. I wasn't really a big fan of the Golden Girls, but as I got older, I was like, oh my gosh, that might be my life. Because as I got older, I wasn't married yet, but I had my two best friends, like best friends ever. And I was like, oh my God, I'm going to be one of the Golden Girls. That's what we're going to do. We're going to have a home in Florida. The three of us are going to be swimming in our pools with our little, with our takinis. Is that what they're called? Takinis or
Tankinis.
Tankinis, with the tanks, the little things. And we're going to have our little donuts that we're going to sit in, and sit around and talk, right?
Right.
Anyway, but I
Was there
did
a
get.
cabana boy?
Huh?
Was there a cabana boy somewhere?
Oh, there's
in there?
always a cabana boy
Okay, just asking.
involved, right? Serving us drinks and
With little umbrellas.
with little umbrellas,
Okay.
and
Just
serving us, fruit, feeding us grapes, right?
Banning you.
Huh?
Banning you.
And fanning me. Yeah, exactly. Yeah, exactly. See, I mean, these imagination and hallucination, right?
I told you.
Again, there's a fine line.
There's a fine line. We've exhibited that right here, right now.
Right here, right now, right? But anyway, we do have a pact, the three of us, that, if we are alone, then we will, get a place and be together because loneliness, we know that we're social beings. We need people and or pets, right?
Yeah. So in the time issue that we're looking at here, they talk about, once again, as in every issue, that pets are good for your health.
They are.
The interacting with animals can improve your mental well-being, and we know that. We talk about our puppy dogs on this show pretty frequently. Every now and then.
Yep.
But, it talks about rabbits and even crickets.
And horses.
And I know you in particular have a horse story, something about
a student
emotional
of mine,
support animal.
Yeah, a student of mine had an emotional support horse. And they wanted to bring this horse into their lesson.
And you let them?
No.
Why not?
I don't know. Because I can't have an emotional support horse in my lesson. It was a mini horse,
Well, but those are friends. I mean,
Listen,
as an equestrian family here, not that I'm not personally an equestrian, but my daughter is, and it's their best friends, their team.
My
their
dog is
teammates.
one of my best friends, and I don't bring her with me everywhere.
Well, anyway, I'm just saying.
I told my student I was very empathetic. I can be empathetic, once in a while.
Yeah.
And I did say, it's only for 45 minutes. And do you think I could be your emotional support for 45 minutes every week?
Okay, so you offered a substitute.
Right.
Oh, okay. I guess. Okay, anyway,
It worked
moving
out.
on.
It worked out.
Fish can also be
Fish. Oh my
good
God.
support.
Well, fish though,
They're calming. They have those in doctor's offices, aquariums and stuff.
Yeah, they are
Fishing can
calming.
be very calming.
Yeah, they are calming. You just stare at them and they.
Dogs, of course. They mentioned guinea pigs for socializing.
Yeah, no.
Yeah, I don't know. Is it
Nope.
interesting?
There's nothing redeemable of a guinea pig or a mouse or anything going on that wheel.
Oh, I forgot
It drives
about
me
your
nuts and it causes me anxiety.
rodent-based phobia. I forgot about that. Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Yep.
Okay.
So
but
pets can be very like I have in my house 3 dachshunds, right? And you have your 2 puppies.
Yeah.
They're dogs, but they're puppies. They're always puppies. And when we're feeling sad or low or whatever, we also have my mother-in-law who lives with us. And when I see that she's a little low, I say, hey, let's go for a walk. And she takes the older dog, and I'll take the 2 puppies. And we don't race down the road or anything. We just get outside, bring air into our lungs, and the dogs really are very special to her. And she loves them so much.
They love running through the leaves.
Yes, running through the leaves. I think she loves them more than she loves me, but that's okay. I can deal with it. But they're her buddies.
Yeah. Yeah.
And she does, and there's a sense of pride in taking care of them. And, if they haven't eaten, she's like, Maureen, I don't think they've eaten yet. Do you think we should feed them? And it's like an hour later. Oh, yeah, that would be a great idea, But there's a sense of companionship.
Yeah, and responsibility.
But the best part is we bought little stairs for Rose and Daisy. And we bought a set and put them in her room to go up to her bed. So every morning when we come down the stairs, Daisy pokes her nose into Grandma's door, goes right up the steps and snuggles with Grandma to get her belly rub at like 6 a.m. Oh,
wow.
And then I open the front door, she runs outside, goes potty, comes back in, and then, that's done. But she always has to say good morning to Grandma.
Oh.
Yeah, or we'll be upstairs, you want to go see Grandma? And they and they get up and they run down the stairs and they go right up to Grandma and they jump on her and they love her.
That is so neat.
That might have been too long of a story, but
No.
but animals
No, it's
animals for older people really are important.
Yeah.
I
Well,
believe
and
so.
I think for younger too.
Well, yeah, yeah.
They bring about
Joy.
smiles and
Right.
joy and laughter and
I did want to say one thing because it goes with the Golden Girls thing.
Okay.
That intentional communities are popping up all over the United States.
ooh,
And it's like a community. There's one, a specific one that Time Magazine talks about in Wisconsin, in Osceola, Wisconsin. It's called the Community Homestead, and they have like a housing arrangement for people to come in and to live together and to become a community, and they have each other. And I think that's really cool. Because you know what? There are so many people out there who are not married, who are, have many friends, but,
Well, I have a question.
what?
So, is there a difference between loneliness and being alone?
Oh, absolutely.
Do tell.
Like, I know people who are alone and they love every minute of it because it's
Really?
in their personality.
Okay.
And they're not lonely. They're like, they have things to do. Like, oh, okay, I have my schedule. I'm going to get up. I'm going to watch this show, and then I'm going to go for a walk. And then I'm going to come back. I'm going to feed my dog. I'm going to do this. I'm going to work on my book. I'm going to, whatever they're doing, right?
Yeah.
Or I'm going to get ready for the next day if you're a teacher or whatever. But,
Wow.
And then there are people who are just really lonely, who could be in a crowd of people and still feel very lonely.
Wow.
Like sometimes I feel like that in Missouri a little bit.
Really?
Mm-hmm. Because all of my friends are Michigan and
yeah.
Ohio and Illinois. And
Well,
in Missouri, except for you, I know. But I'm more of a transplant.
Yeah. Well, I am
And-
too. I mean, I've lived here, 8 or 9 years?
Yeah. But do you have a lot of close friends here besides me?
Yeah, a few.
A few. Yeah,
But
a few.
No, but
But it's not
long
like-
distance phone calls to friends. They're calling me. I'm calling them.
Right.
Yeah.
I mean, I call, Chicago every week. I call Cleveland every week.
Virginia,
Whether they
California.
answer or not, I still call. They're probably, oh my God, here she is again.
Well, you can tell by
But-
the way they say hello.
Right.
Yeah. 'Cause
Right.
you call and it's like,
Yeah, when I hear,
Oh.
hey Mo, and then when I hear, hello, there's a
because
distinct difference. Right.
either your number with the area code or your name.
Right,
popped up on
exactly, right, exactly.
Yeah, so I know when I call people in different
Yeah,
states and
yeah.
that kind of thing. I still have friends.
Yeah, I still have friends around, but I think that intentional community is a really cool
I
idea.
like that idea.
I really like that. It's like the new age Golden Girls.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
So you want to go ahead and talk about the next thing? Oh, wait a minute.
It's
Tell
a
me what
really
page it's
good
on.
chapter.
What page is it on?
60, page 60.
Oh, Lord. Okay, go ahead.
So both strength training and aerobic exercise can help battle depression.
True.
Yes. And so workouts can strengthen both the body and the mind, and even a little bit can help a lot. So
I agree with that.
Just talking about, going for a stroll, going for a bike ride,
Mm-hmm.
just a little bit of activity can really help stave off depressive thoughts.
Yeah.
Yeah. And then you move into doing more cardio work and that kind of thing, and you're getting the physiological impact as well, a few times a week. But even just if you're looking to kind of reduce thoughts of depression or anxious moments, all that, like we've talked about before, is just going for a short walk.
Right.
Or a little bike ride, or just getting some activity, getting some movement into your life, into your daily routine can
Right.
make a difference.
Well,
And-
so when I go for a walk with the girls, with Rosie and Daisy, and I come back like an hour and 15 minutes later, I haven't like done a huge walk or anything. I probably have only gone like 3 miles, but that's okay, because
good.
they stop and sniff and things like that.
Yeah.
And so, but I come back and I'm so exhausted. I don't have time to think about myself and my problems. I just want to sleep.
Right. And then they
'Cause
want
I'm a-
water and they want all this. And
Right.
yeah.
And
so-
then I just drop with them.
Yeah, it just
the
takes your mind off of it.
It does take your mind off of it. It really does.
Yeah.
You know? And the other day, you'll be proud of me, I went down into my basement and I actually did like a MyFitnessPal workout like for 20 minutes.
Nice.
And I did, I did those things where the hairy
the bird
dog.
dog. Yeah.
No, what?
Bird dog.
Bird dog.
Yeah.
Yeah, bird dog. And then I did a couple of those. And then I did a couple of inverted V's.
Yes.
And I did a cat stretch thing.
Yeah.
Cat and cow.
Cat and cow.
Yep. But just that little stretching for 20 minutes
Made a difference, didn't it?
made a huge difference.
Yeah.
And it took away all of that stress. You know, Thanksgiving's coming up. So that's it's a stressful time because I'm doing the turkey and I have to remember to turn on the oven. And I'm really stressed out about that because that happened one time. I didn't turn the oven on. We ate at like 10 at night. Yeah, I've got this. Yeah.
You got this.
So,
So yeah, that makes a difference. And then, you know, in combining the physical side of activity and, like you said, the mindset and all that together with some yoga, meditation, all that can just reap benefits.
I really liked what they said that work out often enough and you react with less alarm when your body behaves the same way in other situations.
Yeah.
And that is true. I don't know the science behind it because that's your area, but I do know that I handle situations differently when I exercise. And when I'm not exercising, I handle the same situation in a totally different way. Like it's more irrational. But if I'm exercising and if I'm being active, I handle it more in a rational way if something does happen. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Or am I just...
No.
Okay,
I mean,
yeah.
but your body, you're exercising, you're producing certain proteins and the mood boosting endorphins and all that. You get to that point where you're just loving to exercise and you're having that physiological response.
Right.
Yes.
Right. So, okay,
And
so here's... Oh, hold on. So, okay. So here's my logical thinking. You ready for this?
No.
It says in here, 1 hour of exercise a week may help prevent depression. So you know what my mind does? Okay. 60 minutes divided by 7 days. So if I only do, but that's how I think of it. Yeah, that's a problem.
Rather than, well, okay. So
I'm just
you're
saying.
allocating it by day.
Oh, I love allocating. That's my favorite thing to do.
But the other day when I came over, we worked out for like an hour 15.
Yeah, because you were talking to me.
And
You were
setting
changing up all of
circuits.
my circuits.
We were doing circuits and
you were
reps.
adding weights. And does
Yeah.
that hurt? Yeah.
Well, when you were making something look too easy, we had to increase the resistance.
I know.
Okay.
But no, exercise is important.
Yeah, but then your body just learns how to adapt, when you're facing other type of situations as well.
Yeah, and and I'm all perky and everything about it. I still don't like it. I just don't like exercise. I find that if I'm moving, it needs to be for a purpose. I don't find working out in a gym helpful. I find it a big waste of my time.
It is not a big waste of your time, and I can't believe you just said that. It is for heart and mind and body health. We know that.
See, my mind, though, says, why go to a gym and spend 2 hours in a gym? I could be doing something else
But you're
and still getting a workout.
body, mind, heart, health. Okay?
I thought it was BMI, body, mind, image.
Yes, we are all about that too.
No, and I understand what you're saying, but, and not but, I understand what you're saying, because but negates anything you say. However, you are more of a gym rat than I am. Like, I would rather go for a whole day and go on a hike, pack a picnic, go out. I really do like being outside in nature.
That has a place, Mo. That is a workout.
Right.
That is a workout.
Right.
And it
But it's not realistic for me to do that every single day.
But it has the mindfulness impact as well, too, which is, another chapter in this particular issue.
Yeah,
also,
right. That's
talking
true.
about mindset and mindfulness and how we improve our attitude. So in this Time research journal, Mandy Oaklander talks about drug-free treatments that are actually backed by science. And what she says, many people with depression find relief without prescription drugs. These methods have all been scientifically proven to help ease symptoms of depression. So here's what the research has found.
Oh, look, exercise is number right there.
I know, exercise was the first one listed. Imagine that after conversation we were just having. It's so fitting. So one of the most studied natural approaches to treating depression is regular physical activity. Okay, so that actually increases certain neurotransmitters. So embracing exercise habit isn't always easy, as we talked about. But it will help alleviate some symptoms of depression.
Right.
And
And then another one that they bring up is cognitive behavioral therapy, which we've talked a lot about, the CBT. And it's a different type of talk therapy because we've also been learning that there's another therapy called narrative therapy. So we're going to have to talk about that. That'll be with our guest coming up. She'll talk about that. But we talked with Kelly, who is a CBT specialist, and a while back. And that focuses on changing negative thought patterns and then learning how to home in on specific problems and find new ways to approach them. And, sometimes it can take up to 10 to 20 sessions depending on what your trauma is or, whatever. And this can be just as effective as medication. It really can be.
So next, Mandy talks about behavioral activation therapy. And she mentions that people, and this is true, how people with depression can tend to kind of withdraw from the world. And this therapy actually seeks to bring them back in. So the treatment involves helping people identify activities that add meaning to their life, something like volunteering or hanging out with friends or reading, something like that, and encourages them to do these things without waiting for their mood to lift first. So it's like a mood activation kind of activity. I like that.
Yeah.
So a recent study showed this kind of therapy has shown to be as effective as CBT, and it's really cost effective.
Yeah, it's cheaper.
Yeah, because you can just go do those activities that bring you joy.
That's
hanging
awesome.
out with you, Mo, that brings me joy.
Oh, Lord.
It does.
Oh, me too. Okay, so the next one is mindfulness training.
Ooh.
And this is really, I think, can be very powerful because your thoughts can be damaging or they can be healing. Right?
Right.
And it's how you look at things.
Perspective or perception?
Yeah.
Like we've been talking about.
Right,
all
exactly,
along.
right? Exactly.
Yeah.
And if you are, if you don't have the right tools to get you out of that negative spiral, if you don't have those positive tools, those positive words, the positive language, then you really do find yourself in a helpless situation. And I think that's sometimes how therapy can help you. Therapy can help you get through that. They can help you start talking to yourself with a positive language. Why are you giving me that look?
Well, I mean, I think it's cool, in this mindfulness-based therapy, how you're actually talking to yourself. I like that.
I know, because I was thinking when I was saying this, you're talking to yourself. So is that like a mental illness?
Well, it depends on what you're saying to yourself.
I know, right? No.
And how you're reacting or responding, rather, to what you're saying.
Right, I know. Oh, my
Yes.
God. Okay, so mindfulness training is important because
I like that.
your thoughts and images are really, they can be the source of sadness and fear. And I know people who get themselves into such a tizzy of this well, not tizzy, let's really speak the terms, an anxious state.
Right.
Because they are thinking to themselves in their mind of what could happen or what is, or fearful of what could happen.
The what ifs.
The what if. Yeah.
Yeah, I'm going through some of that right now.
There you go. Yeah. Right. But it really does help if you have the right tools to get through a situation, to talk yourself, to help yourself, to avoid, relapses. And, sometimes these tools can be even better than antidepressants.
Right.
Right.
And
they can help hand in hand with them.
Well, there was an article mentioned in this particular section about some research done that showed that relapses are less frequent with some of this mindfulness training than even with antidepressants.
Yeah.
So there's a lot of evidence here for mindfulness training.
Right. And I don't think we're here to discourage anything, antidepressants or don't do anything, just do mindfulness.
No.
But there's just, sometimes it might be freeing to know that there are different things that we can do.
Well, absolutely, Mo. And like I said, we are not experts on
Nope,
this. We have an expert scheduled to come in and speak about this.
Yep,
but
we're just
we are
the
sharing,
messengers.
Yeah, we're
sharing.
the messengers, and we're sharing the research that's been done on these different types of treatments. And, all these treatments have a place.
Yep.
Yeah.
Agreed. So there is a section in here that's really cool. It says float hopes, moods lift. And again, Mandy Oaklander says the strange new science of floating is showing promise as a way to help people with PTSD and other anxiety disorders. Now, I want to ask you a question, Ginny, before we even get into this. Have you ever floated on your back in a pool with your hair hanging down, because you've got hair that goes for miles, and it's so heavy that it's pulling down your head a little bit? Okay, anyway, I digress. And you're lying in the pool, and you close your eyes, and you just float.
Yes. Yeah, I've done that.
And you know what? So have I. I did that this summer, and I did it at night with the lights on in a pool. And I just floated, and I looked up at the star, and then I opened my eyes and I looked up at the stars. I said hi to my mom.
Oh.
And then I closed my eyes again, and I listened to the sounds of the pool
and nature.
And nature. You. Yeah. And my ears were filling up with water. But I have to say, the feel of that, even in November, going into December, is still with me.
Wow.
The feel of that peacefulness, and I can't wait until summer to do it do it again.
Yeah.
Yeah. But it was really, really peaceful. And and when I sat up, I felt refreshed. That baptized feeling,
Yeah, just like anxiety had been released.
Yeah. And I took deep breaths while I was, lying there, and it just felt wonderful. So now they have these things, the floating, what is it called, clinic? There's a floating clinic at Laureate Institute for Brain Research in Tulsa, Oklahoma. That's not far from us. We should go do it.
Yeah.
But, so I think, I can understand, I guess what I can say is water can be healing. People take baths at night, right? With their little rubber duckies and their little bubbles. Water can heal, and water is therapeutic. So I think that's kind of a cool thing to mention. And it says, while floating has always had fans in the wellness world, it has undeniably grown in popularity. In 2011, there were 85 float centers in the U.S., according to Aaron Thompson, who runs an online directory of flotation centers, and now there are more than 250. Floating has also attracted the interest of a small group of scientists who are trying to figure out if it has a place as a kind of therapy for some source of distress, including PTSD. And we even have one here in St. Louis that we know of.
It's like, 10 minutes from here.
Yeah, right. And so, so it can be very, very helpful for just your overall health.
Well, you and I have done water aerobics workouts before. We've walked in water.
Yeah, there was one time when it wasn't so anxious-free, but that's okay.
We'll save that for another time.
Let's say that for another time. But but it is, well, think about it. Water alleviates the weight on the joints.
Right.
So it really does help.
Well, and it's interesting because when I teach water aerobics classes, that you do get a workout. I think there was one day, actually taught 3 water aerobics classes and had 2 clients with pools that day. I think you were one of them. I did 5 water workouts that day. That was awesome.
Yeah. And I bet you were sore at the end, too.
I felt it.
Yeah,
Yes.
right.
Yes.
I mean, it is a workout.
Yeah, and the water is resistance, but it takes the pressure off the joints.
Right.
So it is fantastic.
Right.
Yeah.
And I noticed the heavier I am, the more I float. So I noticed that when you and I got in the pool, I floated and you kind of sank a little bit because you're all muscle, except for that one day, but you're all muscle. And I felt a little more, how shall I say, buoyant in the pool. So which we tried to take down the buoyancy by giving me some weights, but we'll talk about that later. Okay, so hope, float hopes, and moods lift, and that is very true.
That
very,
is
very
true.
true. Yeah,
Very true.
So, yeah.
So this chapter is very uplifting.
It is. And you know what? I have to say, the next thing we're about to talk about, I'm kind of excited to talk about this.
I'm glad you are.
No, I am, because I think that it's not as, and I don't mean this in a swear type of thing, but I don't think it's as damning as what people think it is. I think that there is healing power of psychedelic drugs, and it does bring you into a euphoric state where you can heal.
Well, particularly, Alexandra Sifferlin talks about this. Cancer is a brutal disease for both the body and the mind.
Yeah.
And there's treatments, chemotherapy, radiation, all that help heal the pathogens or, what's going on as far as the cancer. But what about the mind, Mo?
Right.
How do we help the mind? And so they've seen rates of depression increasing among those, and including people in remission, even when they've moved past the physiological treatments, that they're still having thoughts of anxiety and depression.
Well, right. I mean, I have friends who have dealt with cancer, and they're 5 years out, and they've made that cut. It hasn't returned. They're in remission or whatever, but it's still in their mind,
Right.
because it could come back at any time,
Back. Right.
or perhaps it won't.
It might or might not.
But you don't know that. And so that's always an underlying anxious feeling. And, people with cancer-related anxiety and depression, they could, it's just a possibility of it could, come back. And while they're waiting for that to come back or not come back, they're feeling all of that anxiousness and depression to go with it.
So there was a study done where there was a narcotic and a placebo group.
Yeah.
And so they found that the pill they had taken had some effect. Okay, so it said the sessions lasted from 4 to 6 hours in a room equipped with music, a couch, and sleep mask, and it said that to 80% of the subjects reported reduction in their depression and anxiety symptoms that lasted 6 months after the treatment.
Yeah. Isn't that
Phenomenal
amazing?
research.
Isn't that amazing? I mean, the mind is a powerful thing, right, Jenny?
It is.
And it also said that, when these people, when they took not the placebo, but when they actually did take the psychedelic drug for cancer anxiety, this woman says that, she said, I used to imagine what it would be like if the cancer recurred, but I don't think about it the same way anymore. When thoughts of a recurrence creep into my mind, I lack fear and simply think, let's just see what happens.
Wow. What a change in perspective.
Right?
Yeah.
I mean, it's really amazing. So I had a friend, 44 years old, 3 fabulous children, the most amazing husband, and she was a nurse. She had pancreatic cancer, and she ended up passing away, and it was in November that she passed away, right before Thanksgiving, I believe. And she was diagnosed earlier that year in August. Wow. And her brother's a priest, her sisters all gathered around her. She has a sister who lived next door to her and her family, which was a blessing in disguise. And I don't think her family would mind me saying her name, Carolyn. But Carolyn was a phenomenal person.
Wow.
And just taken way too soon. She was funny. She was caring. She was pragmatic. She was realistic. All of these things that you just want in a person, she embodied. And you get to a certain point where you need to take some of this pain away.
Yeah.
And you're at the end of life, and what do you do? What do you do? So, she mentioned once to me, because she was very funny, and I was so naive. I was like, oh, okay. She goes, yeah, my friend is bringing me some brownies. I'm like, brownies? Ooh, that sounds good. She goes, no, brownies. Oh, brownies. Got it. Okay. And gummies and different things like that. But, if you can alleviate some of the anxiety and some of the pain, for heaven's sakes, I don't see anything wrong in doing that. Mm-hmm. Alcohol is out there. People abuse it every day. Some people can handle it. Some people cannot handle it. Some people can handle marijuana. Other people can't handle marijuana. But if it's there to use for medicinal purposes, to help someone, even to help them cross over into the next life, I don't find anything wrong with it. I just don't. But I also see the side where it could be abused.
Right.
Right?
Right.
And it could be used as a crutch.
Right.
So that's where that balance is.
Mm-hmm. That fine line.
That fine line, right?
Right.
And if you can be put in a hallucinogenic state to help yourself feel free of that pain, it really is a mind game. And these hallucinogenic drugs can help you with that. I don't know. That's just my 2 cents.
Well, no, I mean, yeah, Mo, absolutely. And that's where the time researchers are coming into the picture here, talking about helping people, particularly cancer patients, overcome some of their anxiety and depression.
And to deal with the pain.
I mean, exactly.
My 2 aunts passed away with cancer.
Wow.
And they were just in so much pain. I don't know. Yeah. I just don't get it. If you can help take away some of that pain for heaven's sakes, do it.
Right.
Death is not pretty.
No.
So to help them cross over into something and to help them relax, even if it's not death, even if it's just to help them relax.
Yeah, during the treatment process. Yeah.
Because that anxiety and depression can really get to you, and it can get to your family members.
Well, yeah, and we're talking about research that's coming out of, Johns Hopkins and NYU and all that. I mean, some really, really, really stellar, well-known research institutions are researching this and are finding positive results.
Yeah. But even we talk about cancer, but even things like, Crohn's disease, right? Or digestive diseases. These can also help. Because, and I'm talking specifically here about marijuana. What does marijuana do? It helps your appetite, right? So if you're a Crohn's patient and you're not eating, then, to have this drug to help you eat, that becomes a medicinal effect.
Well, and you know somebody who
went through that, and they're fine now, and they're not addicted. They're not whatever. It helped them through that part of their life.
So this comes back to like we're saying, we are not experts on these
just
topics.
Life. We've had life experiences, though.
Life experiences, and we know people who have had similar experiences along some of the lines of these articles here, and we are going to be bringing in our experts in the next couple of shows to really hone in,
or home in,
on the details and some recommendations for some of these ideas that we're putting forth here based on what the Time researchers have uncovered. Yeah. But I'm very, very, very fascinated and intrigued by all that we've learned so far, Mo.
Yeah, I mean, really, what this has also helped me, because I have a family history of cancer, and if it ever came down to me taking something like this to help me through it, I think before this book or this magazine or whatever you want to call it, research data, I'd probably be like, ooh, I'm not doing that. That's, that wouldn't be good. But after reading this and talking through it and talking with others, I really think that it is an option.
Right.
It could be an option. And it's not because I want to go on some psychedelic trip or anything, but it's because I know that would help my anxiety. I'm already an anxious person, for heaven's sakes. Good Lord. I'm going to be a wreck.
No, you're good, Mo. Well, and that kind of leads back into another article that that Time was talking about in here by Mandy Oaklander. And
gosh, she writes a lot.
Yeah, she does. She's very busy.
Yes.
Very insightful. And talking about, and it's similar to kind of like the genetic testing we were talking about earlier, but trying to find the proper drugs or combination of drugs to alleviate like clinical depression. Okay, which affects about 7% of U.S. adults, about 17 million people. And a growing number of children and teenagers even.
Yes.
And so, the U.S. economy alone, $210 billion a year in lost productivity, missed days of work, care for the many physical and mental illnesses related to depression, like anxiety, post-traumatic stress disorder, migraines, and sleep disorders. I mean, even physiological disorders are happening as well, and they're all connected. As you said earlier, there's this mind-body connection here. And so doctors are researching and scientists are researching to try to find what are some of these standard of care treatment options. I mean, what's out there? And we talked about kind of the genetic side, but they've been trying some different drugs. Back there was a tuberculosis drug, many, many, many moons and years ago that they thought, well, maybe this might help, and then it affected the liver or what have you. So they're finding side effects through all these. So one more recent research study has shown that there is a drug called ketamine.
Yeah, right.
Okay, and
it's kind of like a psychedelic drug, right?
Sorry, what?
Is it a psychedelic? Or in
Well,
that?
it was actually used medicinally for anesthesia.
Okay.
Like pre-surgical anesthesia.
Okay.
In large doses. But there's some research going on where in smaller doses, there is, some hallucination, if you will, for I
Yeah.
guess 45 minutes to an hour or whatever. But it was helping reduce depression symptoms in patients.
Yeah.
And so after they kind of came out of the session, that it had a longer positive effect. And so there's still studies going on as far as ketamine infusions offered in clinics, still many unknowns. But the researchers are saying that they still think it's the most exciting treatment to come about in mood disorders, probably within the last 50 years.
Wow, that's cool.
Yeah. So, that Santa Cora, who worked on the APA statement, is talking about the effects of this. And so, there's research going on at Yale by Santa Cora and some other schools as well, trying to figure out if this drug that was used for anesthesia or is still used for pre-surgical anesthesia in much, much, much smaller doses could be effective in treating depression.
That's wild.
Really? Who
Well,
knew?
and that goes with I want to circle around to what you brought up in the beginning here, the SSRIs, the serotonin and everything. And, because from what I remember you saying is that some people don't have serotonin receptors. Is that correct? Okay.
Right.
So the SSRIs, of course, are used to, to help with serotonin. So people who don't have people who do have serotonin receptors, the SSRIs do work and they can be life-changing, but they don't work for everyone. And as we know, in one case, it's because the person does not have serotonin receptors.
Right.
So of course, SSRIs are not going to help at all.
Well, and that's where they're saying that the ketamine actually stimulates the opioid receptor in the brain. And and that's similar to what Percocet and oxycodone and morphine do. And
that is such a slippery slope.
It's a slippery slope.
Whoa,
it's a touchy place to be, and the researchers are being extremely careful.
Well, they have to be
testing.
now.
Yeah.
Because there's such an opioid,
addiction
in our country.
Right. They're aware of that. They said what happens when patients seek more frequent exposure to the agent or when they discontinue the drug, that's the biggest question on their minds right now. So we'll see. We'll see what the research, we'll kind of stay on top of this, figure it out, see where the research leads. I'm sure the researchers in time will keep us up to date on that, and we'll just watch the news.
Yeah, watch the news, right. But the thing that I really do like about this is that, especially with the times that we are in right now of 2020, and I'm just going to bring this up for right now, there's been a large suicide rate. And this ketamine, they say encouragingly, ketamine has also shown promise to putting an end to suicidal thoughts, which I think is important. So at this point in time, George Papakostas is a doctor at MGH, Massachusetts General Hospital, and he says at this point, any new treatment that makes it to the finish line is a huge win.
Yeah.
So we have the opioid, is it opioid receptors? No.
It's the receptors.
The receptors. And we have the SSRI, and which is like Prozac and different things like that. And then, and so, these different drugs, they're really trying to help people with mental illness to find and become mentally healthy. And it's possible. It's a chemical imbalance in the brain, and doctors are really fighting to try to find something that will help, which I think is wonderful.
Yeah.
So, yeah. But, of course, everything costs money too, right?
Right. Yeah.
So
there's investment and a lot of research right now.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah. So, anyway.
Continuing on with our Time Research Journal, there is an article here that's pretty interesting from the labs, and just working on kind of some small sampling on how progress is being made from some laboratory studies on sunlight being valuable in treating depression. And I think, don't
Every
we all
time
feel
it's sunny.
better?
Yeah.
I mean,
Yeah. I mean, some people really thrive on rainy days, but yeah, I mean, I feel better when the sun's out.
right. And there's even like sun lamps and that kind of thing.
Right.
Some people actually invest in those. Because,
And when I'm having a bad day, like a gray day today, I just come over and see you and look at your golden hair.
Aww. And it makes you feel better?
Yeah. And I wonder, what box is it? What
Moving-
L'Oreal box did you use for that?
So we're moving on to a small sample study, Mo, about,
You could just buy Sun in Walgreens, you guys. It's in a box.
yes, about omega-3 supplements that are good for the brain. Yes, and there has been research that has shown a correlation linked with high blood levels of omega-3s with an improved cognitive function. So we should go have some salmon after this.
I think so. And yes, we should. No, but here's the deal with that. You could take omega-3 vitamins, and they talk about vitamins a lot. But if you're getting them through food, then that's the best way to go, right? So I for about 10 years, I dated a doctor, and I would always take vitamins. And he's like, "Why are you taking vitamins?" I said, "Because everybody takes vitamins. I need vitamins." "But why? You eat, you're okay. You don't have anything wrong with you. You're fine. You don't need to take vitamins." Well, now that I've had the bariatric surgery, of course, I have to take some vitamins, right? Because it dealt with my metabolic insides,
Structure.
structure, all
Right.
of that. But before that, I didn't have to take vitamins. He's like, "Yeah, you don't need to take vitamins," and then I bought him a thing of vitamins, and he, yeah, it's sitting on the sink now. Oh, by the way, that guy that I dated for 10 years, we ended up getting married.
Yeah.
But yeah, so I bought him, I don't know, something for men. And he's like, I put it in a stocking. And he's like, "Oh, great, vitamins." I said, "Well, yeah, Santa thought you might need those." That was last Christmas.
Yeah.
I don't think they haven't been opened. Yeah.
Well, but that's a very valid and interesting point you make about the vitamin and mineral content within the foods that we consume. We've
Right.
always said you are what you eat.
Right.
So,
And, and just, exercise and hang out with happy people and just be, try to make your life as full as it can be,
of healthy, uplifting, happy.
uplifting. And not everything is, "Oh, hey, we're so happy. Everything is go, go, go. Okay, everyone turn that frown upside down." We're not all like that all the time. We
No,
know
we're
that.
not.
We know that.
No.
And if you are, there's something wrong with you. Oh, wait, is that a judgment? Yes.
Yeah.
Okay. But, I don't know. Too perky all the time raises a flag for me. I'm not saying you're perky all the time. You're not.
I'm not.
No. I mean, when you're training people and stuff, you kind of have to be perky.
Yeah, you do.
But, now that I'm your friend and everything, you're not perky all the time. Thank God. Because that would drive me crazy.
No, but we've had this talk before.
Yeah, we have,
Like
yeah.
after just a couple of days ago,
Yeah.
the friend of mine mentioned that I didn't seem as perky that day or whatever. And really, there was no reason behind it so much. Just, I was just out raking leaves and wasn't as perky raking leaves that I usually am, apparently.
Well, and also I think when you go through things and you go through life changes and things like that, you and I know this is going to sound corny, but you come closer to your true self.
Agreed. Yeah.
I mean, Monica, did you read her Facebook page today, by the way?
Not today. Yeah, not yet.
Okay, it was really good. She wrote a Monica Orban, right? Is that what it is on Facebook, or is her
Yeah.
maiden name in there too?
Yeah, Monica Orban. Monica Lamb Orban.
Yeah, okay. So you guys should check.
And she was a guest on
She
our
was a
show.
guest. I know, but I wasn't sure if she used her middle name for, on Facebook or not.
I know you know. I was letting the listeners
Oh,
know.
got it. Okay. Anyway, we were looking at me like, you should know that, Maureen. So anyway, but it was really cool because she put a picture of herself when her wedding day in her gown, and she put a picture of herself now, and she put the dates under it, and then the dash in between, like 19 whatever to 2000 whatever, and she said, and she pointed out that change was where the dash is.
I love
Isn't that cool?
Yes.
Isn't that cool? So, and she listed all of the things that have changed, and like, don't be afraid of it. Don't be afraid of the dash, because there's a lot that happened in that dash. It was really cool. I really enjoyed reading that today.
I need to read that.
And it was her latest blog. Yeah, it was her latest blog.
Yeah. I'm going to check that out. We should all check that out.
Yeah, we should all check that
Yeah.
out. Yeah, it was really cool. So, but anyway, yeah.
Yeah. I need that right now.
Yeah, I think we all do. It was really uplifting. I'm glad she wrote that. So, yeah. Well, this has been a great talk.
It has been excellent.
I really enjoyed this today.
I did too.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It was really good. It was really good. And it's funny because we're sitting in a bedroom. Well, we had to tell them.
Well,
we
had
we're across
to-
the bed. It's a huge bedroom, but we're sitting across a bedroom, and we've got 2 tables set up and
Here in a
crunched
Pier
over
1
because you're
metal
like
stool.
6 feet tall.
Yes,
and then
I'm
I'm very comfortable.
leaning over the microphone right here, so
Right.
I come across.
As strong as Jenny Frings.
So I'm not in the background.
Nobody puts baby in the corner.
All right, check out our website at bmi-redefined.com. And we'd love to hear your comments, your questions, insights, whatever you want to share. And we look forward to next time, where we'll be talking more about mental health and a new understanding with a guest. We're excited to have her on.
Very excited. She's amazing. I went to school with her at Michigan State, and I've introduced her to you, and you've had a couple of talks with her. So
Yeah.
she's really, she's really amazing.
She is.
And,
She's absolutely incredible.
I think she's ready to be on our show. I think we've given her a dose of each of us.
Yeah.
And her anxiety level is at its height. So we're giving her a couple days to settle down.
Yeah.
And then she'll be ready to join us.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
She's going to help us a lot.
A lot.
We know that she's going to be insightful, encouraging,
Yes.
and educational to everyone that
Exactly.
that listens to her.
Exactly. And talking about a piece of sun. She's a piece of
Oh,
sun.
yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And she's been through a lot too. So.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, thank you guys for joining us on BMI Redefined with
Jen.
and Mo.
All right.
We can't wait to see you guys next time.
All
Make
right.
sure to tune in.
Take care. Bye.
Bye.